Hi everyone, my name is Madilynn, and today I will be talking to you about the life of leafcutter ants and how they have built up the ultimate sisterhood. Did you know that most of the ants that you have come across in the entirety of your life are females? Leafcutter ants have built a very complex society that can, in many ways, relate to the society that we have built as humans. First, today I'm going to talk about where leafcutter ants come from and the living conditions that they need. Second, I'm going to tell you about the different types of leafcutter ants. And last, I'm going to tell you what it's like to be inside the nest of a leafcutter ant. So, where leafcutter ants come from in their living conditions. These specific types of ants are native to Trinidad. This is a country right off the coast of Venezuela, and it's a very rainforest type environment. There needs to be a lot of humidity, moisture in the air, and it needs to be very warm with, of course, a lot of trees around. So, now I'm going to talk to you about the different types of leafcutter ants. First is the soldier ant. This is the largest of the worker ants. Their whole purpose is to protect the nest. They usually stay deep down in the bottom of the nest until there is a threat at the top of the nest, and they attack it with their large scissor-like beak. These ants have a huge clamp on the top of their head that can sink down up to 3 inches into human flesh. The next type of ant is called the meteor worker. The whole purpose of this ant is only to collect and bring back leaves to the nest. They aren't that big, but they're about average size compared to the rest of the colony. Another type is called the minima ant. These ants are the most abundant ants, and they are one of the most important. These ants tend to the food, and they tend to the brood. The brood is the larvae, or the eggs, and all of the young ants. Next is the queen. The queen ant is enormous compared to all the other sizes of ants. There is only one queen ant per colony, and they are the largest of them all. Their only purpose is to lay eggs, nothing else. These queen ants are constantly covered in minima ants that tend to her and take care of her. Now, an interesting part of the leafcutter ants is all of the ants that I just told you about are female. Male ants are only born once a year, and their only purpose is to mate. After they've mated, they die immediately. And the queen ant, because of this, can lay up to 30,000 eggs per day. So, inside the nest, the brood. The brood is, as I said earlier, all of the eggs, the larvae, and the young. Now, you might be thinking that different types of eggs are laid depending on what types of ants that are needed, but all of the ants are born exactly the same. The only reason that different classes of ants are chosen is because of the minima ants. The way that the ants are tended to, fed, and taken care of when they're young chooses how they grow up to be. So if it's a soldier ant, they're fed the most and taken care of the least. If it's a meteor ant, then everything is average with them. And if it's a minima ant, they're fed the least and taken care of the most. The food source. Now, because they're called the leafcutter ant, you might be thinking they eat leaves, but they don't. The only reason that they take the leaves back to the nest is to create a gray, thick fungus that the ants eat. One of the coolest parts of the nest, in my opinion, is the waste disposal. These ants dig a huge hole in the bottom of their nest in the ground, and they have a landfill. So all of the old leaves or bad leaves or any fungus that isn't good enough to eat is taken all the way down there, and it decays out of the way so it doesn't cause any disease or anything like that in the colony. Another part of the waste disposal is they have their own ant graveyard. All of the males that are born once a year, and after they mate, they die. They are taken down into the graveyard to sit and decay so that no diseases spread. Any other ants that have gotten sick in the colony and die, or outside the colony, they take them into the nest and down into the graveyard. So, as you can see, these leafcutter ants have an extremely complex society built that can, of course, relate with ours. So, now, next time you see an ant, you'll understand a little more about the life that they actually live. Thank you, and I hope now you can apply your new knowledge of ants' life to your own.